Hello, everyone. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today, we're diving into a story filled with secrets, tension, and tough choices. Can Tuna overcome her fear of being a burden, or will Alex's love for her only bring more pain? What will Johnny do when trust is shattered by the truth? Who will have the courage to face reality first? Stay tuned, because the answers to these questions will keep you hooked. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you won't miss out on the next exciting episodes. The story picks up with the DNA paper still haunting the minds of Tuna, Alex, and Johnny. It's like a thorn in the side of their relationship, something none of them can ignore, even if they want to. Tuna, sitting quietly in the corner of the farm, can't stop thinking about the paper she found. The results had shattered her world in an instant. She had always believed in one truth about her life. She was a mother, and her child was her everything. But now, with the DNA results in her hands, everything had changed. She sat there, holding the baby close, feeling the weight of the uncertainty pressing on her chest. How can I ever look at Alex the same way again? She kept wondering. The truth, however painful, was there for all to see. She was no longer just a mother. She was someone who had lived a lie. That truth gnawed at her, making her feel like an even greater burden on Alex. What if I'm too much for him? Her fear wasn't just about the secret she'd uncovered. It was the fear of what it meant for her relationship with Alex. He had done so much for her, always taking care of her and the baby. But now, she felt like she was standing on the edge, afraid that the truth would push her away from him. What if this truth ruins everything? What if I'm too broken for him to deal with? She could barely face the mirror, let alone face Alex. Every time she thought about telling him what she had discovered, a sharp pang of fear hit her heart. She was terrified. Would he still want to be with me? Or would I just be another mistake in his life? Meanwhile, Alex wasn't faring any better. He hadn't seen the paper, but he knew that something was wrong. The way Tuna had been acting, the way she pulled away from him, made his stomach churn with unease. He had always prided himself on being someone who could fix things, who could solve any problem. But this was something he couldn't solve with money, with effort, or with time. This was a problem that could potentially unravel everything he had built. I need to be strong for her. But what if I'm hurting her more by not knowing the truth? His heart felt heavy with worry. Every time he tried to approach her, to ask her what was going on, she shut him out. And the more she pulled away, the more his doubts grew. Alex knew he couldn't keep pretending everything was fine. He loved Tuna. He had come to care deeply for her over the past few months, and he didn't want to lose her. But he was also afraid of the truth, afraid of how much it could hurt, afraid of what it meant for their future. What if the truth changes everything? But there was another part of Alex that knew he couldn't keep living in fear of the truth. He had to face it, just as he had faced every other challenge in his life. And yet, in his heart, he wondered if he could handle it. If the DNA paper truly meant what he thought it meant, would it shatter everything he had with Tuna? Could he ever look at her the same way again? And then there was Johnny, the one who had been the most affected by the DNA results. He had always been sure of his place in Tuna's life, of his role as a protector, as the one who would always be there for her. But now everything felt like a lie. The DNA paper had turned his world upside down, just as much as it had done for Tuna. He hadn't known how to tell her, how to explain the implications of what they had found. The truth wasn't just about biology, it was about trust, about everything he had believed to be true, about their relationship. And now, that trust was shattered. Johnny was paralyzed by fear. Fear that Tuna would never forgive him for keeping the truth from her. Fear that he had lost her forever. And fear that he had already lost all credibility with her. He could barely even look at her without feeling the weight of the secret between them. He wanted to tell her everything, to confess the truth. But every time he thought about it, his heart would race with anxiety. What if I've already lost her? What if telling her the truth just pushes her further away? What if she hates me for not telling her sooner? Johnny's mind was in turmoil. He felt betrayed, not just by the situation, but by the very fact that he was unable to do what he thought was right. I've been lying to her this whole time, he thought, feeling his chest tighten with guilt. I've been lying to myself too. How could I have kept this secret for so long? For all three of them, the DNA paper had become the silent force that pushed them further apart, even though they were physically so close. Each of them was paralyzed by their own fears, unable to confront the truth that was slowly destroying the fragile bond they had built. It was like a ticking time bomb, with each passing day only increasing the tension and the fear that something irreversible would happen. But who would be the first to face the truth? Who would find the courage to take that first step and admit to themselves and to each other what had really happened? The question loomed over them, unspoken but undeniable. Who will break first? It was a battle of wills, not just between the three of them, but within each of their hearts. Tuna feared that if she spoke the truth, she would only confirm her worst fears, that she was a burden, that she had never truly belonged in Alex's world. Alex feared that by confronting the truth, he might lose everything he had come to care about. And Johnny, most of all, feared that by telling Tuna the truth, he would destroy the only thing that had kept him going, the belief that they could still be a family, that they could rebuild what had been broken. The story now hinged on a single question: who would find the courage to face the truth first? Would it be Tuna, finally coming to terms with the reality of her situation and confronting Alex? Would Alex gather the strength to admit that the truth might break him, but it would also set them all free? Or would Johnny, in the end, decide to come clean, risking everything to salvage what little trust remained? The tension among Tuna, Alex, and Johnny only deepened with each passing day. The DNA paper, which had initially felt like just a piece of paper, had evolved into a symbol of everything that was wrong with their lives, a constant reminder of their unresolved fears, guilt, and the trust that was slipping through their fingers. They each tried to go on with their daily lives, but the weight of what they knew or didn't know was too much to ignore. For Tuna, every moment spent on the farm felt like walking on eggshells. She could no longer enjoy the peace of the farm the way she used to. Her thoughts were consumed by the question of how much longer she could keep pretending everything was fine. She looked at Alex and saw the concern in his eyes, but she also saw the unspoken questions. He hadn't said anything yet, but she could feel the distance between them growing. Why hasn't he asked me about it? She wondered, biting her lip as she went about her work. Every time their eyes met, her stomach twisted. She knew he was struggling, just as she was, but neither of them dared to speak the words that would make it real. Tuna often caught herself staring at the baby, wondering how she would explain all this to him one day. She didn't even know how to explain it to herself. What does this mean for us, she thought. What does this mean for the future I've been hoping for? Every time she looked at Alex, her heart ached. She had promised herself she would never ask for too much from him, that she would carry the weight alone if she had to. But now, with everything hanging in the balance, she realized just how much she had already come to depend on him. It terrified her. Alex, on the other hand, was walking a tightrope. He could feel the pull between him and Tuna, the tension that neither of them seemed able to break. He wanted to ask her about the DNA results, but the words stuck in his throat every time he tried. He had convinced himself that it was better not to bring it up, to let her come to him when she was ready. But the longer it went unspoken, the more difficult it became. He could see the way Tuna had withdrawn from him, the way she seemed to be avoiding his gaze. And it hurt. He had never seen her like this before. He had always been the one to take care of things, to fix what was broken. But this was different. This was something he couldn't fix. What if I lose her? He thought, pacing back and forth in his room one evening, his hands clenched at his sides. He had never felt more helpless in his life. The thought of losing Tuna, of losing the family they could have had, gnawed at him. It wasn't just about the baby. It was about her. He had grown to love her in ways he hadn't expected, and now that love felt like both a blessing and a curse. If the truth came out and everything fell apart, would he ever be able to look at her the same way again? Would she even still want him in her life? But even as he struggled with these questions, another part of him knew that the truth had to come out. They couldn't keep living like this. He couldn't keep pretending that everything was fine. It's time to face the truth, he told himself. But no matter how many times he repeated the words in his head, he still couldn't bring himself to confront it. He was afraid, not just of losing Tuna, but of the pain that would come with it. And then there was Johnny. Johnny had been quieter than usual, spending his days working on the farm but avoiding direct interaction with Tuna. Every time he saw her, a wave of guilt washed over him. He hadn't meant for things to get so complicated. All he had wanted was to protect her, to help her move forward after everything she had been through. But now, he was more lost than ever. The DNA paper had shattered the fragile sense of trust he had with Tuna. And now, every word he spoke to her felt like a lie. I should have told her sooner, he thought, kicking at the dirt as he walked through the fields. I should have told her everything from the beginning. He could feel the weight of his decision pressing down on him. The more he thought about it, the more he regretted not speaking up sooner. But it was too late now. The truth was out there, and he could feel it hanging over them like a dark cloud. Johnny had tried to convince himself that it would all work out, that if he just gave it time, Tuna would come around, that she would understand. But deep down, he knew the truth. He had lost her. The DNA paper had not just broken the illusion of their family, it had broken Johnny's sense of self, too. He wasn't just scared of losing Tuna. He was scared of losing the trust that had been the foundation of their bond. He was terrified that everything he had worked for, everything he had done for her, would be undone by one mistake. The more Johnny thought about it, the more he realized that his fears had already come true. Tuna was distant, and Alex was becoming more withdrawn. He could see the toll the situation was taking on both of them, and the guilt burned inside him. I'm the one who's destroyed everything, he thought bitterly. But no matter how much he beat himself up over it, he couldn't take back what had happened. The truth was out there, and now all they could do was wait for it to come to the surface. As the days passed, the tension between the three of them continued to grow. No one spoke of the DNA paper, but it was always there, lingering like an unspoken agreement between them. Tuna, Alex, and Johnny were all caught in their own web of fear and uncertainty, unsure of how to move forward, each of them unwilling or unable to take the first step. The question remained, who would be the first to confront the truth? Who would be brave enough to break the silence? The answer wasn't clear yet, but what was clear was that none of them could avoid it forever. Sooner or later, they would all have to face the reality of the situation. And when they did, everything would change. In the meantime, each of them remained stuck, caught between the fear of facing the truth and the hope that somehow things would work themselves out. But deep down, they knew. The longer they waited, the harder it would be. The truth had a way of unraveling things, of forcing people to confront what they'd been avoiding. And no matter how long they tried to put it off, it would eventually come to light. Who would be the first to face it? That was the real question. Would it be Tuna, who had been running from the truth for so long? Would it be Alex, who couldn't bear to see her suffer anymore? Or would it be Johnny, who had always been the protector, but was now unsure of his place in her life? Tuna returns to the farm with her baby, feeling a mix of gratitude and guilt as she sees the improvements Alex made. Despite his kindness, she fears being a burden to him, especially after the DNA paper uncovered painful truths. Meanwhile, Alex struggles with his own feelings, unsure whether confronting the truth will destroy their fragile bond. Johnny, overwhelmed by guilt and fear, regrets not telling Tuna the truth sooner. Each of them is paralyzed by their own fears. Tuna's fear of being a burden, Alex's fear of hurting her, and Johnny's fear of losing trust. The story builds around their emotional turmoil as they each face the dilemma of whether to confront the truth or let it tear them apart. Who will have the courage to face reality first?